make a joke of like he's going to
and we're back with the Anime Club. Saki, you seem pretty excited to talk about this section.
I am, just a little bit, because I have some really strong opinions about the production quality of the show now that I'm watching it in 2021 as opposed to when I first saw this back in, I want to say I first watched this in like 2012-ish. Like it was definitely like middle school-ish era for me.
So I'm in this weird purgatory spot where I can't tell whether your thoughts are positive or negative. Like I'm getting both vibes here.
So my first thought is about the dubbing and subbing quality. So out of all of us here, I watched the sub, but I did watch the dub for the first couple episodes. I know Realm Shifter watched the dub a little bit. Did you check out the dub? And did you check out the dub?
Absolutely not.
Okay, so the dub is honestly as bad as the Prince of Tennis dub. I think it might be one of the worst dubs I have ever heard. And I actually recognized a few of the voice actors. I couldn't tell you who they were, but I know them from other shows. And I know that they're good voice actors, but this particular like voice acting and whatever direction was behind it was actual hot garbage. Actually watching it in dub made the first 9 episodes that I watched all in dub unpalatable. I could not stand the show listening to it in dub. On the other hand, I do genuinely like the sub quite a bit. I think it's funny. I don't think it's a fantastic voice cast, right? I don't think it's like the greatest thing I've ever heard, but I like it. Now, animation quality, right? Like in terms of the actual animation quality. So when I watched this, I immediately thought to myself, originally and watching it now, so this is a shoujo, and I equated this with Oron and Fruits Basket, right? And most of that is because it's a shoujo. But in terms of animation quality, I equated it with Oron, right? This show came out in 2010. And I believe, if I am correct, Oron High School Host Club, the anime, came out in 2006. And I personally think that Oron had a better animation quality overall. Also, like I said, I compared this to Fruits Basket, and Fruits Basket came out between 2001 and 2002. So the fact that I was comparing this show that came out in 2010 to the quality of shows that came out 4 to 8 years prior, I think says something about my perception of the animation quality. So I don't think that this is incredibly good animation quality for the time period.
I don't know. I don't know about the other two. I certainly didn't notice anything particularly off about the animation. In fact, there are some aspects of the animation I actually appreciated. Like, what was it? There's a particular trio of characters who have their animation style drastically changed to represent different attitudes they have. And I actually quite appreciated that because it did a lot more than I thought the dialogue did to characterize them.
See, I understand that, and I appreciate that too. But to me, that's less to me in the overall quality and more in the direction of the animation and what the animators wanted to do to show things through the animation. I think like I said, for me, I think this just desperately reminds me of Oron, and the fact that Oron is 4 years older. Also, this was made by JC staff. So I don't know if that means anything to any of you.
Same people who did Index, I think, right?
Yeah, I'm starting to learn a little bit more about animation companies, but I still don't know them all. So don't recognize that name. But I also don't think it's shit animation. To me, it doesn't seem like it's maybe up to par with what I expected. And I think a lot of that comes from the comparison with Oron, which is, in my opinion, an incredibly similar show. And I think Oron did it better in terms of both production and theming and storyline, which I'll get to later. Realm, Vorn, do you have any thoughts about the opening too?
All right. Honestly, I didn't really have many opinions on it. I did like how they were how the animation was flexible enough to let a lot of the characters go off model pretty well. Yeah. But other than that, I didn't really notice any major things with it. I don't have any issues with it overall. I'd say it wasn't bad animation, but it's no Demon Slayer.
Is anything?
Yeah.
That's also studio that did Food Wars.
Oh, that's interesting because I personally love the Food Wars animation. So that studio has either greatly improved or Food Wars just had a much better set of people working on it.
Well, you
It's
also
also much newer. I get that.
I don't know if this
Index
anime
was that
demands
same time.
crazy animation
Was
though.
Oh.
Like for all my complaints, I just don't really see the animation complaint unless I was in there looking for something looking as good as modern day or.
It's like I said, it's not that I'm looking at modern day or even a contemporary comparison. I think for me, it's just because this is one of those like 3 or 4 big shows that I was really, really into when I got into anime that were shoujo and comedy, and I really thought they were funny. And now looking back on it, and I've recently rewatched Ouran, and like I said, in storylines, I'll definitely be comparing the two. And I think because of that recent rewatch and just my own personal nostalgia and feelings about it, this time I'm feeling a little less okay about for once it's me bashing the animation a little bit more, mostly on a comparison basis.
And typically I'm the fucking animation whore.
Yeah. I will say though, so I haven't seen this show since maybe 2011 or 2012 when I first watched it.
Mhm.
And the opening song came on and I could go along with it perfectly.
I didn't like the OP.
I really liked the OP, and evidently I liked it enough when I first watched it that I learned it in Japanese. And once again, it reminds me of Ouran's opening. It even has a similar line in it about kiss something, but
The only thing I can
yeah.
actually remember from that OP is can you keep my secret?
Yeah, that's it. That reminded me of Ouran.
Like other than that, it didn't have like anything else to catch me or keep like I can't remember the tune at all. It sounded pretty generic to me outside of that.
Or being
Yeah.
the needless contrarian that you always are, Nick.
No, I think that is entirely valid because
No. I was
What?
making a joke.
Oh,
there.
sorry.
I mean, yes, I do recognize that my opinions have so far like almost all taken the exact opposite of Zeki's.
well, no, because
Unintentional.
oh, because I actually agree with you. It's not really a memorable opening, but I also don't believe that Ouran has a very memorable opening. Neither of them to me are particularly memorable, but I know them both by heart, and it's fueled by nostalgia from loving the show and having to listen to it so much, because back then when I first watched this, I listened to openings. I didn't skip them. So for me, it was the nostalgia of like the opening starting to play and just remembering the words without even realizing that I was going to remember them. I haven't thought about this opening in years. And so, I don't know, for me, that kind of tipped it into, I'm okay with this. Like, that's a level of nostalgia that I am okay with.
I do actually like to say this. When they do the comedy stuff, the animation kind of gets a little bit better. Not just like how it does it in comedy form.
And a slice of life show like this, that's just going to be the spot where they can express the animation most, no matter what area you're in or what animation quality it is.
But it's still good.
Yeah, otherwise
The same like when you watch, like we previously watched Kaguya, the animation would always like really flex itself when they're making a joke.
Mm-hmm. Now, on the other hand, I do not remember the ending at all, and it was not memorable to me. And I actually thought it was kind of off from the tone of the show a little bit. I thought the ending was quite discordant to the feeling of the show. The ending seemed a lot more depressed than the general tone of any part of the show.
Well, so that's actually where I'm going to add my own content. So I actually did like both the OP and ending, not how the president feels about everyone in the school about her in a way. So and how at the end of everything, Usui is always there for her in the end.
Damn, analytical realm. Can we get more of that?
That's actually really interesting. I didn't even think about that. I just thought about like the show overall, and I was like, this opening, because I didn't really fully listen to it. So I was like, this opening is just a little depressing skip.
I mean, I do have to give points to Realm here, actually. If I analyzed more OPs and EDs off the lyrics and thought about the character arcs, I'd probably appreciate a lot more EDs than I already do.
Yeah.
As it stands now, though, because I'm not typically reading the subtitles when they're playing, I don't typically notice unless they have a good beat, like what the lyrics are.
I think overall, though, in my opinion, it's still a pretty solid show. Like, I don't think there's anything greatly flawed with the opening, the ending, or the animation, other than the dub, which is horrendous. God, it is so bad. Like, I've only ever felt this mad about another dub with the Prince of Tennis dub. And I expressed my opinion in the Prince of Tennis episode about how much I hated that dub. But yeah.
Sailor Moon dub?
The Sailor Moon dub wasn't that... The Sailor Moon dub isn't that bad because it's got a sense of like nostalgia because so many people in the US have heard the Sailor Moon dub, is that it's not half bad anymore.
It's more campy and
yeah, like the dub for this is just actually kind of bad. You know, like
stiff voice acting is the best way I can describe it.
The dub for this is like the Prince of Tennis transition scenes with just the tennis court and the noise. That's like an equivalent quality. It's pretty shit. And like I said, not to say anything against the voice actors, because I definitely recognized a few by voices from other shows. I couldn't tell you where, but I definitely recognized them, and I know I like them better in other shows.
Well,
so
the English voice acting industry loves to recycle its voice actors a lot.
True. So, and which is why I always think that when there's a really bad English dub, then I personally generally attribute direction, not necessarily the voice cast. Because I think the voice cast kind of that most people pick from for a dub is generally good and pretty flexible, but it all depends on the director and how they're being told to give lines and that kind of thing.
All right. Well, I think, are we hitting the end of our thoughts on production here?
I think so. I mean, that was my opinions.
We'll see you next time with a discussion on story then. Try harder, everyone.
Yeah, story themes.